right. So I think we can start so far. So my name is Guy. As you can see, I'm a senior solutions engineer here at Ninja. So basically, my role is to take care of the technical side of things, onboarding, implementation, as well as the technical questions. So today we're having backup webinar. So we're going to deep dive into the backup, side of things in Ninja. What's the advantages? What do we bring in terms of backup? You surely have heard also that, we extended our backup offering last year to also cover SaaS backup. So not only endpoint backup, but also SaaS backup, Microsoft 365, Google Workspace. We're going also to see all of these today. So quickly to move, or basically let me share my screen. And then we can start. Awesome. So, again, so today we're going to have a deep dive, maybe to the couple of the last attendees who just joined us. Backup in general, this is going to be our topic for today. This is our agenda, right? I'm going to try to keep it very concise, straight to the point. So we're going to just have a general overview about Ninja Unified Backup. What is Ninja Backup? What do we offer? What do we bring in terms of backup? Again, since we have two sides of backups, right? We have endpoint backup, device backup, and also SaaS backup. So we dissected both parts. First, we're going to see device backup. We're going to talk a little bit about SaaS backup, device backup, and then cover the same thing also when it comes to SaaS backup. After that, we will do a demo where we can see and put everything into practice, everything that we're going to talk about in a bit. And then I'm going to open to Q&A. So in the meantime, of course, if you have questions, feel free to drop them here in the Q&A section, or if you have also some questions, you can drop them in the chat, so I can make sure to go over them. When we finish everything. Okay. So data resilience starts with backup, right? So backup, when we say backup, we're talking about data. Data is the most important thing in nowadays businesses, right? So data is about everything. And we've seen also that, when it comes to cyber attacks, ransomware attacks, the first thing that gets targeted is the data, companies' data, right? This is why data are so much important to businesses. And therefore, we have backup, right? So because without data, businesses, they cannot continue. And for that, of course, cyber attackers, they're becoming increasingly intelligent. They're trying to find new ways of, basically to target, in a negative way, businesses. That's why, data resilience, or basically, fortifying data is something that is very important in nowadays. How we can achieve that, right, is by implementing a backup solution, right? Business continuity goes hand in hand with data resilience, because if we're backing up our data, so we are having resilient data. Therefore, we can ensure business continuity, right? We can continue doing businesses, right? Breaches happen. Again, backup is the fastest thing, how you can recover data. And it's also the most reliable way of, to basically put your business again, on the right track, continue your daily tasks of what you're doing. Now, with Ninja talking about backup, we're ranging from protecting workloads, right, from servers, devices, to also SaaS environments. Again, I mentioned it before, so we're going to cover backup of workstations, servers, desktops. Not only that, but also 365 environments, Google Workspace environments, and also Entra ID backup, right? Now, yeah, by design, as you can see here, resilience by design in Ninja, our backups are immutable, encrypted, of course. Everything is built to ensure that backups are secure. Immutable meaning, once you back up the data, the data are in the cloud, backups are in the cloud, so they're immutable. We cannot tamper with those data. So we ensure that, our data are basically we ensure the integrity of data, right? That's the most important goal of it. Now, what do we do with backed up data, right? Okay, it's nice. I have now my data backed up, but so I can restore it back. So again, with our backup solution, we not only can backup data, but also recover that data, right? Recovery, of course, it happens on single files, whether it being bare metal, restore the whole volume, the whole image, or basically single OneDrive, SharePoint, Mailbox. Now, speaking of SaaS backup, again, everything happens in a timely manner, very fast to ensure business continuity, right? So this is the topic of today. Unlimited secure storage. Of course, you have storage. I mean, you have access to storage. As much as you have data, you can have, the right storage provided to that data, whether it being, on the cloud or also locally, right? Speaking of now, endpoint backup, seamless platform integration. Of course, this is the best advantage, right? We're talking NinjaOne today. NinjaOne, our end goal, ultimate goal is to ensure everything is in a single pane of glass, right? Maybe most of you know Ninja is like, this is what we're trying to achieve since years now, is to have everything that is necessary for IT infrastructure, responsibles, CIOs, CTOs, to have everything under one umbrella. So you don't really have to navigate through different tools, dealing with different session timeouts, different MFAs, different credentials. Everything is just into one platform. And of course, recoverable in a timely manner, right? So our backups, as you can see here, some statistics, 100% automated. It's very easy to set up, not only by saying this, but we're going to also see this later on. And it's, 50% more efficient if we have everything easy to set up, fast. So we are way more efficient. Now, this diagram simplifies everything about backup in Ninja. So we have Ninja backup as a whole, and underneath it we have the two sides of things. As I keep on always mentioning, device backup, SaaS backup archiving, right? Device backup, we're talking about endpoints, literally endpoints, servers endpoints, desktops and laptops. And then we have the SaaS side of things. Exactly. So now we're talking about 365 environments. Underneath that, we've also expanded to Entra ID, Microsoft Entra ID objects. We're going to also see that. And also parallel to that, we have Google Workspace, right? So this is the diagram as a whole. Now, okay, yes, key differentiators. Let's dive deep into things. So key differentiators about NinjaOne backup, right? What is the advantage of having our backup? Now, again, I will keep on mentioning this. Backup is embedded in IT operations, right? It's part of the IT operations. It's part of that single pane of glass. Same person, same infrastructure engineer who is dealing with patching, security, vulnerabilities, monitoring. Of course, you would have backup, right? Everything from that single pane of glass. Reliable protection and fast recovery. Everything is protected from endpoints to SaaS environments. Recovery is very fast. Simply click on restore, and then you would have your data restored, and then you can ensure your business continuity. Again, that's the topic. Now, data are secured, right? You have MFAs everywhere, right? So we're trying to decrease the amount of error right? So when it comes to deleting backups, of course, you'd be prompted so many times when it comes to MFA, setting up things. You always have, that extra layer of security, which is the famous MFA, multi-factor authentication. And of course, recovery is granular. Built-in compliance support, apply policy-driven retention and recovery across devices. So yes, we do backup data, right? But we can backup data according to certain retention policy. Of course, everything is completely customizable according to your needs, whether speaking of device backup or also SaaS backup. Everything to ensure data are compliant when it comes to audit security, right? So you have your retentions, you have access to those data are secured, data are encrypted. Of course, that's the goal for when it comes to audit. Legal hold, now speaking of archiver side of things, right? We can create different retention plans to keep data. We can create departments. We can apply different retention plans. All of this, of course, we're going to see it later on when we will be doing the demo. Okay, device backup. How device backup protects every server and workstation, right? So theoretically, backup is automated, right? We have policies in Ninja. Policies is the mastermind behind everything. Inside the policy is where basically you set up the condition, the monitoring side of things. You have the patching, you have everything. You also have the backup, right? It's very easy to set up. You just need to go to the policy, set up your plan. You have image plan, image backup plan, or file and folder plan. So now, very quickly to open a small parenthesis, speaking of backup, we offer cloud backup and local backup, both when it comes to image backup and file and folder, right? Image backup, performing a whole backup of the whole image, the whole system and drive. And file and folder is if you would like to backup certain files, certain extensions, certain paths. That's where you would be using file and folder backup. Everything is set up inside the policy, and it's very easy to set up. We're going to see that later on. Now, device coverage. Again, we cover Windows and Mac today. In the next release, I'm just giving you a little bit of suspense. We're also expanding backup to Linux, just file and folder. But today, at the time being, we have it on Windows servers or desktops, laptops, Mac, the same thing. Backups are immutable and encrypted, right? Native immutability, right? Once data are written in the cloud, they're immutable, right? You cannot delete them. Even if you would like to delete them, you would be prompted so many MFAs, and you can only do that by accessing the NinjaOne platform. Elsewhere, you cannot delete them. You cannot access those data. Of course, encryption is following the AES 256 in transit and at rest. And again, all of the MFA touch points. Chainless, chain-free architecture. Our backups are chainless, meaning, each block that will be created, it's independent from the other block. That's, what we mean by chainless. Basically backups are independent from one another, reducing risk of corruption, right? So each block is not independent of the other one. Boot verification. Maybe some of you didn't see this, but this is something that we've recently implemented, I think a couple of months ago. This ensures you basically knowing, okay, if the image backup that you've performed, if it's bootable or not, right? So you can set up inside the policy. This only applies on Windows servers. You can run it bi-weekly, monthly, so you can basically see, and you can see the output under the general backup. We can also build reports based off of that to have an idea, okay, whether our backups are basically viable, if they are bootable or not. We can also include a screenshot of that image that has been backed up in a practical use case, let's say. We will also see this later on. Recovery again, you can basically recover single files. Again, you can mount the image on the cloud directly. You can restore single files, or you can also perform a bare metal restore if you've guys done image backup. You can cross restore items. Say, okay, you have these files, this image backed up on device X. If you would like to recover the same data on device Y, if it's under the same organization, you can also do that, right? Cloud first simplicity, again, no hardware, VPN or manual processes needed. Everything is streamlined from Ninja, which is the single pane of glass. Flexible backup destinations, again, as I mentioned, we have cloud backup, local backup, or hybrid. You can also perform both. That would be basically performing a local backup, and then we would sync the files or the image to the cloud. Now, SaaS backup, right? Speaking of SaaS backup, then the other side of things, how we protect 365 in Google Workspace, right? No data gap, no pruning. We have two ways of doing backup when it comes to online workspaces, so 365 or Google Workspace. You have the normal backup, which is performed 12 times per day, meaning one backup each 2 hours, or using Archiver. If you would like to have real-time backup to ensure data, every single bit of data is going to be backed up, then Archiver, right? Businesses always choose Archiver. Why? Because say inside the interval of 2 hours, the user received an email or sent an email, and then between those 2 hours, he initiated the deletion. Of course, that data is lost. That's why we have Archiver for that. Archiver is real-time backup. So we intercept the email, we make a copy, we back it up. It's real-time backup. Every single item that is going to be sent to the mailbox, it's going to be captured, right? Via journaling, that's the technology behind it. It's called journaling. Identity coverage. Now, speaking of Entra ID backup, we're going to see which objects that we're capable to backup. Again, Entra ID users, groups, devices, BitLocker, recovery keys, security configuration, so on and so forth. Powerful search. So inside the SaaS portal, you can make a very extensive search, right? You can look for data, you can look for the keywords inside of a database of thousands of emails, right? Like if you have 50,000, tens of thousands of emails, you can perform a very granular and extensive search to grab that email to look for the data, right? Without you, of course, having to lose the time and looking inside the different mailboxes. Again, same thing, granular recovery. You can restore mailboxes, whole mailbox or single emails. Again, you will see this later on. Recovery happens either for the whole mailbox, the whole email, for the whole time being, time interval, or you can also choose point in time, right? Of course, that selection, it's a smart prioritization of files and flexible destination options as well. And then built-in compliance tools. This is relative to Archiver, right? With Archiver, what's the end goal? End goal is to achieve compliance. So you have a whole section dedicated to compliance. Creating legal holds on emails. If there is any legal issue going on with XYZ, you can create different retention plans, apply them on those mailboxes, on those users. You can create departments. And then you can also manage those legal hosts with e-discovery, with also tagging, alerting, and audit logs, right? In terms of coverage, right, you have two lines. The first line represents 365 in the second line represents Google Workspace environment, right? You have Exchange Online, we have SharePoint, OneDrive, Groups and Teams, Entra ID, all of this under the 365 umbrella. Of course, we're talking about mailboxes as well here. You also have calendars, etc. And then you have Gmail, G Drive, shared drives, groups. When it comes to Google Workspace, it's coming soon, also chats, right? It's in development team is working on it. Okay, speaking now of what is now the added value of having a third party, backup when it comes to SaaS backup or, specifically for SaaS backup here. Why? Because even Microsoft themselves, right, they have the Microsoft Agreement Clause 6b, right? It entails a shared responsibility, meaning data are completely under the responsibility of users. So it is highly recommended to leverage a third-party tool to have granular recovery, long-term backup, long-term retention when it comes to data, right? Limited retention when it comes to native Microsoft tools. 365, usually they retain deleted emails only for 30 days, right? Now, speaking of legal hold, speaking of XYZ use case, if you would like to keep data for more than 30 days, of course, you have to leverage a third-party tool. Teams and chats, same thing. Everything is stored for 30 to 90 days, right? Beyond that, nothing is going to be kept. Identity risk, same thing. Now, Entra ID, Microsoft, so they do not offer item level restore. Only a 30-day. Same thing. We're here. We're basically blocked only, within 30 days. Beyond the 30 days, we don't have any data, right? In case we would need that data, in case we would need to present the data, we cannot recover it. Why? Because it's gone. And then same thing, ransomware exposure, right? Of course, if data are not encrypted or corrupted, then we cannot recover it. We cannot restore it. Google Workspace, same thing, right? So they have limited protection, as you can see here. Native security features, they may leave data vulnerable. Short retention plans beyond 180 days. I think that's the maximum. We don't have any data retained. No centralized tool. Again, I will always keep on repeating this. The goal is to have everything under the same umbrella, right? Compliance challenges, right? Meeting regulations can be difficult without any advanced compliance feature. That's actually what we've been investing in. All right. Okay, now I think this is the last point before heading to do a demo. Speaking of archiver, I think this is also very important to stress out. Archiver side of things when it comes to SaaS backup, what's the most important advantage behind it is that, basically to meet regulatory requirements. Why and how? Data are not immutable, right? Now, I think data are immutable, right? So you cannot alter that data once it's written. Once data are captured with immutable worm, what is worm? Write once, read many, storage and real-time journaling. Of course, again, this is the archiving side of things. Tamper-proof records. You have tamper-proof records, you have tamper-proof data. So data cannot be altered very simply, right? Fully customizable retention policies. We're going to also see this. Advanced e-discovery, streamlined investigations, built-in DPO. What is DPO? It's data protection officer. You can create a data protection officer user who basically would be meeting the requirements of the most known regulatory requirements and also frameworks like GDPR, SEC, NIS2, ISO, etc., right? Alrighty, I think now we can jump right into a demo. We spent enough time speaking about yeah. the theoretical part of things. So this is Ninja, right? For those, of course, who know it, this is the main dashboard. Now, speaking of backup, again, I don't know if you remember, I mentioned we manage everything from the main policy, right? Where we find policies, we go to administration, policies, and then we have the Windows Workstation policy. Now I head off to backup. Here we have image backup, file and folder backup, right? Legacy, this is the old engine. We can forget it. Image backup, it's very easy. It's very straight to the point. Basically, you can create one plan per policy. You can choose your destination. You have cloud, if you'd like to back up into the cloud, local backup, if you would like to back up your data on a shared network, on a NAS, or hybrids, right? Both ways. After that, you have your schedule, right? You can perform daily backups. If it's daily, you can choose the time. Weekly, you can choose the date. So every Monday, every Wednesday, Thursday, etc., or monthly, right? You can choose which day of the month or basically select a custom date, right? Once it's done, we can exclude weekends. We can here set up the retention. I think the only most important setting here is the retention, because all the rest is self-explanatory. Retention, right? So we have very granular retentions. Now, again, this is endpoint backup ranging from 1 month until 10 years, right? We can keep data until 10 years. Speaking of image backup now. So if I keep my data over 6 months, then you will notice, these two sections. Keep data for X days, 7 days. You can set it up, of course, to 1 day until 45 days, and then weekly. So to break it down, now with this retention policy, we are going to keep the overall data over 6 months, right? The data is going to be backed up over 6 months and be retained over 6 months. Now, for the first 7 days, we're going to keep a copy every single day for the first 7 days. After we reach the 7th day, right, on the 8th day, we're going to keep a copy weekly for periods of 6 weeks. After we reach those 6 weeks, then we will perform monthly. We will keep one copy monthly for until we reach the 6 months limit, right? Now, the very first backup is going to be a full backup, and all the subsequent backups forever, yes, forever, are going to be incremental backups, right? This will ensure you that basically you won't use much data. And if you don't use a lot of data, so you're not going to spend much on the storage, right? Yeah. After that, we have some general settings like exclusions. So here you can choose which volumes to exclude, D, E, etc. So you can focus only on disk C. By default, we can exclude removable disks. Power options, you can prevent device from sleeping, attempt to wake device if it's sleeping, run plan immediately if missed, meaning if the device at 1 a.m. was offline, okay, we're going to skip the backup plan, but turning this on, so we will make sure that any device that comes back online, we will make sure to do the backup. Again, the goal is to ensure business continuity, right? And then you have also pre and post automations, right? Before making the backup plan, you can run a script, whether it being to capture, to make, to start certain process, to copy files from point A to point B, for whatever use case you can use. You can leverage the automations, right? Now, this is the image backup, right? File and folder backup, always inside the same policy. File and folder, we can create different plans. We can create more than one plan, right? So we have this plan, daily workstation, file and folder, backup destination, same thing. You can put it to cloud, local, etc. This one is locked onto the cloud, but if I create one from scratch, I can select that. Again, same thing. It's very similar, same logic, daily backup. You can perform daily, weekly, monthly, or even every every X minutes, every 1 minute, you can perform a backup, right? Yeah, so frequency of backup, power options, revisions. You can limit revisions to 30 revisions. Any revision beyond or any change beyond the 30th revision. So we're going to get rid of that 13th revision. You can work either with revisions or with days, right? Trim revisions older than X amount of days. After 30 days, so any new revision that comes in, we will basically delete, the older one. Automations, again, we always have them. Folders here where you would like to include the folders. So you have inclusions, exclusions. You have includes common folders. We detect user profiles, so either user profiles or public profile or general. So you can include them, desktops, desktop files, documents files, public profile, everything. So it's up to you basically to choose whatever you want to include. Otherwise, if you would like to specify a single folder path, you can do so. The good thing is these ones, they also support variables, right? So you can add the destination with a variable and that would be backed up. Same thing applies to exclusions now, right? It's the opposite. Instead of including, you can exclude. Filters, we back up by default all files, or if you would like to include specific extensions, you can do so. If you want to exclude certain extensions, you can do the same thing here. Now, advanced, all of these are by default excluded, to ensure that, we won't take unnecessary files. As you can see specifically here, OneDrive files, Dropbox here, Dropbox data. By default, these are excluded. If you'd like to include them, simply select them and then just disable the exclusion. Awesome. So now this is the setup of basically image or file and folder backup. It's very easy, right? So once you set it up, you click save, that's it. Now you have your backup plan set up. Before that, actually, I think I should have showed this beforehand. We would want to make sure that the backup agent is installed on all devices, right? So this step is very important. Now, backup, of course, it's configurable on the global level. It's an add-on. Therefore, we find it under apps, installed NinjaOne backup. You hit enable. Once you enable it, this is where you choose your backups, right? We have different backups across Europe. We have one in Ireland. We have one in UK, one in Frankfurt. We have different ones. You choose, the closest backup to your location, or if you'd like to use Frankfurt, and if you're based in the UK, that's also fine. Once you select your storage bucket, select apply, that's it, right? This is the first step. The second step, you would want to go and ensure that the backup is deployed, as I said, on the devices. How we do this? Either we go here inside the organization, we have backup, deployment. So we select all servers or all workstations, or if I just need, backup on this device or on these two devices. Same thing, I would basically select these only two and then hit enable here. Enabling the backup, this would install the backup agent, right? The Lockhart agent, which will make sure that the backups are taking place. This is one way of doing things. Otherwise, simply just go to devices and then select your device, Windows, desktop, here, enable backup. Yes, I was right here. So edit, enable backup, you would enable the backup here. So these are the two touch points. Awesome. So now again, once we have the data backed up, where do we find the backup? I would grab this server. This one. So we've seen how we can install the backup, we deploy the backup, we set up the policy, now backup are going to start, right? So we would find everything here under the backup overview. This is the device. We see how many backup jobs have been run successfully, how many backup jobs with warnings failed running now, the storage that I used, either in the cloud or local. And here we have, the different, the plans that we have, different plans that have run, right? Manage, this is where we can access the data that have been backed up, right? This is very important. Now we have only image backup on this device. So we see the machine storage used and the backup storage used. It's so basically why I wanted to show this is because so we also use compression, right? We do not back up the same data that it is. So we compress files, and this is where you would see basically here, the duplication, volume capacity, volume used, etc., etc. Now I am accessing this image backup, and this is the disk C. Again, latest revision, volume used, volume capacity, storage used, and the duplication. I would enter here, the plan, and all of these are the backups that have been done during the time interval, right? So this frequency literally depends on the frequency that you set up inside the policy. We said I am performing daily backup, hence I'm finding here daily backups, right? So the 2nd March, the 3rd of March, maybe the device was offline here, that's why. Anyway, so you would find all of your point of so the data in terms of point of time. Now, speaking of restore and recovery, simply I would click on this one, say, okay, I would like to recover data that had been backed up on the 20th of December last year, right? Simply I go here, click on it, I find the volume size, mount it. Now it's mounting in the cloud, and it's enabling me the accessibility to those single files, right? So now I'm accessing this image. I can download it on my own PC, or I can restore it. This is the cross restore that I've mentioned before, right? So I can say, okay, if the file exists on the target machine, skip it or overwrite it or overwrite current. If older than, and then this is the restore location, origin location, or to other location, right? I can choose here another device. This is the same device. This is another device in the same organization. And then I can basically, browse that location, that target location, right? Apply. And yeah, basically this is the restore, right? This is single file restore, but again, I'm going to quickly mention the restore, the bare metal restore. We also have bare metal restore is by you restoring a whole machine, right? Literally a whole machine, whether it being server or workstation. If it crashes, then we can deploy the same machine on another empty machine, whether it being virtual machine or physical machine. For that, simply you need to go here, image action, download image restore manager. So with this, you're going to be able to download a different tool. So you can create a bootable media. Through that bootable media, you can access literally those backups that we've seen. You can choose which backup, which point of time that you would like to restore of that machine, and then you would have the machine on that state. Yeah. All right. Yes, awesome. So I think the last thing I would like to show you when it comes to endpoint backup, boot verification, right? Now we have boot verification. It's set up on this server. Again, boot verification is only available on servers. This is why you have now this boot verification. Test the Windows OS volume for ability to boot. You can schedule it to weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, right? As soon as you set it up, this is where you find the output. If it's successful, of course, overview, you would come here, success as Monday. You would click on it, and this is, the screenshot taken literally from that machine, as if it's booting from the latest image backup. All right. Now, speaking of SaaS backup, right? Again, SaaS backup, it's a separate portal where we set up the configuration, but it's completely integrated with Ninja, right? Now, if I go on the main dashboard, if I go on backup, again, we have device backup, overview. This is the whole overview of all the organizations. This is the overall data stored locally or in the cloud, how many devices, boot verification, etc., etc. Same thing, we have it for SaaS backup, right? So here we have job status, 284. So how X amount of successful, backups when it comes to 365 or Google Workspace, we're trying running, how many errors, how many usage. Now, SaaS backup, why we're speaking of usage and seat usage, because SaaS backup, it's a different method. It's not a device backup, it's per user. This is why we speak of seats. So we back up according to users. So say, okay, I have this organization. Now I can see here emails, right? Everything is pulled out here inside of Ninja. How many users? I see literally which users, license, mailbox, if it's licensed, if it's unlicensed, and the service, if it's 365 or Google Workspace, the latest backup that has been performed. For all of these items, right? Email, OneDrive, contact, etc., etc. Now, where we do all of this setup. Now, let me go back here, SaaS backup. Home, overview, partner portal, right? This is the SaaS backup portal. Again, it supports SSO, single sign-on. You don't need to enter your credentials, so nothing whatsoever. Everything is completely integrated. This is the main dashboard of the SaaS portal. You see here how many, so the coverage, how many accounts have been added to backup, and how many seats that you're using. And here you would have the organizations, right? All of this work, you won't really need to do it. Why? Because from Ninja, if we go here on administration and apps, you have a whole section for SaaS backup, right? Organization, same thing, by the way. So here you would enable it, you would choose the buckets. SaaS backup, we have UK bucket, we have Frankfurt buckets, North American, Canadian, or OC buckets, right? After that, here you would find your organizations as they are in Ninja. If you would like to provision an organization in the SaaS portal, simply go here, action, enable it. Once you enable it, you would choose the bucket, right? These, by the way, the bugs that I've been mentioning, and the plan, right? Again, we mentioned earlier, we have three types of plans, right? We have the normal SaaS backup, which is 12 times per day, the archiver backup using journaling technology to ensure real-time backup, and then we also have SaaS backup plus Entra ID, right? These are the three ones. Now here from the beginning, I can choose the plan. I hit enable. Once I enable this one, I would find the organization here added inside the SaaS portal, right? So basically, we can manage everything from the Ninja side. Once we have the organization enabled here, so for instance, we have these three organizations ranging from different plans, SaaS backup, archiver plus Entra or archiver. From here, I can hit manage services. And this would take me on the organization configuration, right? Now, this organization has the backup configured, but if the organization, if we're starting everything over from scratch, this is how it would look like, right? So you would be taken into this view. Basically, this is the only main important step. It's where you connect your 365 account or Google Workspace account, Hosted Exchange if you want, or any other IMAP email that you have. So 365, you can add it. By the way, you can add also different tenants, right, under the same organization. That's also doable. You can also mix them up. You can have the same organization, 365 tenant and Google Workspace tenant. That's completely doable. You have two types of authentication. global admin. This would create you a global admin on your tenants. Otherwise, you can go the service principal route, right? This only has a limitation that, it does not support groups and teams calendar and email attachments, right? Group email attachments. So once you do the authentication, you follow the steps. Literally, you can do it in maximum 2 minutes. After that, you would find your users populated here. Nothing else needed, right? It's a service, it's a unique service with SaaS Backup, right? Once you add the user, you would have emails, OneDrives, contacts, calendars, tasks, SharePoints, groups and teams. Everything is added by default, right? You cannot choose emails, OneDrive, or maybe emails, tasks, or maybe SharePoint, etc. No, it's a single service. Everything is included with unlimited retention, right? Yeah. So once you add it, of course, you can include or exclude users. Of course, once you authenticate, say you have, I don't know, you have 1,000 users. If you'd like to only add 500 users, you license only 500 users, you can do that either manually, or we have a very nice feature, which is we can map Entra ID dynamic groups, right? So we can map the dynamic group. If I go maybe here, so this is how it would look like, you see? So AD sync, right? If I enable this one, now I am able to see the groups, the dynamic groups into Entra, and then, I can just grab those users which are in that group to the backup. So in this way, basically, customers can ensure that only those users inside that dynamic group will be added to the SaaS backup, right? Alrighty. Once we have them added, what we can do now with the SaaS backup? Again, you can access, the content. You can see which emails. You can migrate this to another account. Say if a user quits or maybe leaves the company, we can basically take his data, take his mailbox, and we can migrate to another mailbox. If he has critical data, right, we can restore it, right? Original folder, we can keep the same structure of that folder if we have subfolders. We can download, right, in PST or EML, same thing. Everything is doable, right? Same thing, right? We've seen this, to a single email, single item, but we can do the same thing to the whole mailbox, right? Same options. Now we have info. You can deactivate this user from backup, right, from the SaaS portal. You can delete it. Again, I know that you guys have seen earlier that, we've been speaking of immutable backup, etc., etc. This is this normal SaaS backup. If you're looking for immutable backup with SaaS backup, or immutable ways of doing backups, then the archiver, right? Archiver, you won't have option. You won't be able to delete. Why? Because archiver plan is, the plan where we ensure, compliance when it comes to mutability or legal hold, etc., etc. So we can perform advanced search. Again, all of these criteria are at your disposal. You can select email account, the date range from which person, who is in CC, who is in BCC, keywords I can add, keywords I can add, attachments without attachments. I can add here, the attachment content. I can add other criteria like body, department, email size. So basically, you see how granular the search can go, right? In order for you to find, the image that you're looking for. And then you can launch your search, so you can basically find the email that you're looking for. Email attachments, same thing. You can look for email attachments. System status, you see here a log. This is basically a log for everything that has been backed up, everything that has failed. Same thing, we see all the items, downloads, anything that you download, you would find it here. So you can basically download it later on. Restore and migration, the same thing, right? Insights, so you can generate some reports. And then you have audit log, basically activities, anything that happens, you can find it here. Retention policy, as I mentioned, the normal SaaS backup, you have unlimited retention policy. But if for any given reason you would like to set up a different retention policy, you have 14 months, 4 years, until 7 years, right? Okay, let me go to Archiver. It's basically same view, same UI, right? Same thing, nothing changes. The intuitivity is the same thing. The ease of use is the same thing, right? Again, we don't have deletes. Why? Because Archiver is the plan that ensures, compliance. The difference here is that, you would have this compliance window or section, right? E-discovery, you can perform e-discovery, same thing. The difference between this discovery and the other advanced search is that we can save these searches, right? I can initiate a search, say, okay, I would like, to always keep on looking for emails which, I don't know, which are having credit cards data as an example, right? So I can always add these criteria, and then I can come here, save search, I can find them, right? IBAN, for instance, and then I can pull out all of the emails having, or basically having those criteria which are met. Alerts, I can create alerts based off of these searches, right? That's a good thing, actually. You see credit cards, right? Now I save that. Any email that would meet that requirement or meet that criteria, I would be receiving an alert. And then we have also tags, retention policy. This is also the difference between the normal SaaS backup and Archiver, is that here we can create super granular retention policies, right? I can edit this one, continue. These are the HR, for instance, anyone who is in the HR department. For instance, we can also create different departments. And this is the retention period, right? It's completely customizable, days, months, etc. I can input, the data me manually. Whereas the normal SaaS backup, you've seen them, guys. So it's pre-defined, it's pre-selected. All right, legal hold. Yeah, for any legal issues, anything when it comes to so legal wise, basically we can create one legal hold name tests. This is my new one for a specific email address, for a specific email box, right? Or for a specific department. Basically, department, you guys would need to create a department. Department is simply see it as a group of users. That's basically a department, right? And then otherwise you can also put all, right? But it's usually meant for departments, so group of users or certain email accounts. And here I can add this user and this user. So XYZ users, agree, enable legal hold. Once you enable legal hold, emails would stay there forever, literally forever, right? So no retention policy is going to be applied. Of course, unlimited retention policy, right? Yeah. Again, review process, you can hear review process. So basically this is you can create processes. For instance, yeah, these email boxes, they met some criteria. They have, this keyword, they have this attachment. You can mark them for review, and then, yeah, the user with the appropriate permissions, he can come here, he can review them. If you have any data protection officer, if you have anyone taking care of the legal side of things inside the company, basically you can allocate him this task, so he can come here and then he can check these processes. All right. Last but not least, I think we are almost done. We have Entra ID, same thing. It's very simple. Now I will go back here on the main partner portal. This is the Entra side of things, right? So it's another view, right? This is where we find our tenants. It's very simple, by the way. So you create the connection, right? So you authenticate, you enter your 365 tenant. Once it's authorized, you have two steps, right? There is the authentication for backups, authentication for restores. As its name states, so you authorize for backups. If you only would like to make backups, you need to also authorize for restore if you also would like to backup and restore. Now, as soon as you've done that, how it looks like or which objects at all will be backed up is simply these, right? You have users. Simply, you can click on it. You see all the users that you have inside your Entra ID environment, right? I can download all of this. Groups, the groups in Entra ID, roles and admins, app registrations, service principals, right? BitLocker keys, Entra device, Intune device. So all of these objects are being backed up, right? Now we have this, for instance. The good thing about this is that it's real time, right? So now you see here, this is the live data that we see right now, and this is the latest backup, right? So let me take quickly a step back, show detail. Maybe maybe this is during the, okay, here we go, exactly. So backup frequency, right, it's set to every 24 hours for now by default, but it's coming, so we're working on a more frequent one, and so until 3 hours. Every 24 hours, you have these data inside these objects. Let me take groups, for instance. Design group, for instance. This is the latest backup that we have. Now you have live data. You can refresh live data, and this will reflect the data as they look like now inside Entra ID, right? If we see discrepancy, if we see differences, you would see this item displayed as red, meaning, okay, there is a difference, right? Simply, if you would like to restore the backup data, if you click on restore, it's immediate, right? So you would find the data also reflected on the Entra ID side. Yeah. I think, we've seen everything. Quickly, if you would like to see Google Workspace, how it looks like, again, it's exactly the same thing, right? The only difference we have here, OneDrive. No, this is not the right one. Yeah, it's this one. G Drive, you have the users, the same thing, same options. You have restore, you have download, you have migrate, right? You have G Drive, shared drives, everything is being backed up. You also have archiver plans for Google Workspace, same sections. UI is always the same. We're trying to keep everything as simple as possible, right? So that's the end goal. And of course, single pane of glass. Awesome, perfect. Yeah, I think we've came to the end of it. Now I'm gonna open it. I know we exceeded a little bit of time. I hope that everyone, is staying interested, and on track. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask me. Okay. Yes, recording is gonna be shared. Yes, okay. I've seen my colleague. Actually, I have my colleague here in the backstage, Rudy. He's already answered the question. Q&As, I think we have some Q&As. Will you be discussing the licensing per device only? Okay, so licensing, when it comes to endpoint backup, it's per device, right? If you're using local backup, you only pay per device because storage is on you, right? It's your own storage. However, if we're speaking of cloud storage, then there is a license. It's a license per device plus a license per storage, per terabyte. Anything that you need when it comes to licensing, pricing, contact your account manager. They will be the best guys, to assist you when it comes to commercials. Now, SaaS backup, on the other side, it's per user, right? Users should be licensed, and yeah, so per user, very simply, right? He has to have an exchange license, so we can detect that user, so we can add it to the backup, and from our side, it's per user, hence per yeah per user simply. What cloud provider do you use? AWS. We are hosted in AWS, Amazon Web Services. That's basically our cloud provider. S3 buckets, redundancy, so 3 redundant sites of AWS. It's only AWS. Will you be allowing boot verification for PCs at some point? Also, when will you be able to test boot each day rather than each week? So for now, it's only reserved to servers, Ian. Anything beyond that can be feature requests for now. It's a good idea, but for now, it's only included on the server. Hence, that would consume a server license, meaning if you have some desktops or laptops, you can simply change the device role, right, in Ninja. That's not actually an issue. You can simply change the device role, so you can have that option inside the policy. The only thing that changes is the licensing part of things, right? For now, we only have bi-weekly and monthly. Weekly, it's not actually available. It's yeah, if you have it, basically just contact us and then we can enable it for you guys. Don't forget, it's still in early access, the feature, so it's subject to improvements. Jarek, what is the process for restoring complete virtual machine VMware? The process is simply installing the NinjaOne agent on that virtual machine, whether it being on Hyper-V or VMware. That's the best practice. That's the recommendation from our side. Install the agent, deploy the NinjaOne backup agent as we've seen earlier, and then simply perform the backup. As soon as you have the backup, now you can perform bare metal restore to another empty VM. It's very straightforward. If you want to use backup 500 instead of image backup, how would we take backup of SQL backup? So it depends on what you would like, Arben, here, right? So a recommendation for SQL backup is to perform an image backup because you have granular access, to the whole image. Plus, it's application aware because yeah, it's application aware. It's VSS aware. Our image backup, and that ensures restoration, of single SQL, single items. Now with file and folder, the only thing if you want, make sure to add the path. If you have, anything when it comes to Microsoft SQL, and yeah, you need to specify the path today for file and folder. Otherwise, the best thing is to go the image backup route. All right, awesome. I think we've covered everything. Any questions so far, guys, from your side? Any last wish, last question, feedback? We appreciate your feedback always. So yeah, I'm opening it too. So yeah, I think yeah, no questions are coming in. So I think we can call it a webinar, a session. Huge thanks to everyone who came today. Thank you so much for your attention and your time. Also, if you need anything, always refer back to your account manager if you would like to demo, if you don't have backup today, if you have already backup, and if you have open questions, or if you would like to take a look at another side of things. So please make sure to contact your account manager. We are here to assist you, right? So thanks again for everyone for your time and wish you a good day. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a good one.